head is, you know, this right here, you're piling all this on here, right? This is self-harm. Like, self-harm is not just cutting yourself or refusing to eat because you're afraid of the weight you might gain because you already feel so heavy inside. It's all self-harm. Self-harm because you feel like you weren't, of course you weren't deserving, but you're not capable of carrying this and working through it. You know, when I cleared this, when this is mine, you know, just I'll take the cover of this. So when I started to unpack all of these, you know, of course I'm making space and I'm making room, but other things are also coming out of my scars and my trenches that I never remembered that I had deep in my head. And it's because they did happen. You know, this is your story. And as trauma survivors, we tell our stories not because we want the sympathy for it. You know, we just want to be heard. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We want to be validated that our story happened, that we are a human being worthy of these emotions that we have fought our whole life, because it did happen. If it didn't happen, then why do we need stitches? Why do we have scars? Why do we have trenches if it didn't happen? Of course it happened. Don't let anybody gaslight you out of your own truth. We can gaslight is a whole other video, God said, and he has a lot of information to share. And I need you to keep holding space in your head for me as well, as a lot of this information that I'm having to just spit out in the moment, it's so new to me. Like, I get it, I'm processing it because I've gone through it. Now I just have to visually do it so I can teach you. You know, validation is acceptance. You're accepting that truth really did happen to you, and you're ready to choose that acceptance, to move on to loving yourself, to TLC your garden, you know, your little garden. Yeah, look at these. Okay, well, can't really hold a crown with freezing hands and whatnot, but just go with me here, you guys. Just go with it. Let's just use our imaginations like SpongeBob, and let's just go with it, okay? No, I just drew flowers over these, but they kind of look like clouds, so please don't take that wrong. But they're flowers. Now look at this beautiful garden that we have to grow and make room for things. And yeah, the bad things are still coming out. Those evil things that all garden keepers don't like in their garden. But the first part of that is just accepting that this is truly what's happening. You know, accepting it as, yes, I went through this. Accepting this as, yes, I love you, even if no one else does, because no one showed it to you. A huge part of this for me is I always hug myself. You know, I hug myself every day, and at first it was so weird. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, you know, but that was my ego. And now when I hug myself, I feel that energy come over, and now I'm just automatically I love myself so much. Never again. Never again. You know, the good things that were coming up were good things about my mom. And I had parent wounds from my mom and her first husband. I'm a child abuse survivor. The good things about my mom is her light. You know, there's things that have come up from the past that I remember that part about my mom, and that's why I loved her. And I remember she would take us to the beach forever, all day, and I loved it because I wasn't in the house. It wasn't an automatic target. I was free. I had all these sensory therapeutic needs around me, and I've always, if you know me personally, the beach is my second home. You know, and I see my mom and on all of that abuse and whatnot, and I'm still able to bring in that light that she had towards me and that love to help me fill in this garden unconditionally. Yes, her and my first stepdad are my abusers. Her and my first stepdad have no clue, probably if they were to see this video. My first stepdad and my mom caused physical abuse, emotional abuse, and mental abuse. And I will tell you right now, you can hit me, you can punch me, you can break that lamp and shatter my face with glass that's still in your skin. But I would rather take that than over the mental and the emotional damage, because that is what I have been fighting for 30 years. You know, I remember one time my mom took us to this church sleepover, and I was so excited because I wasn't going to be at home and I was safe. And back then, the church that we went to, let's just leave that there, because it wasn't a church, let's just say that. And I felt safe because it was a church. I felt like, oh, God was there, I was going to be safe. And it was a great sleepover, nothing happened. But then in the morning when my mom came and picked me up, I automatically felt my energy. And I just was like, no, I do not want to go home to this toxic environment. I do not want to go home. I am stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Therefore, when I was a little kid, until now, I'm still suffering. I have CPTSD. CPTSD and PTSD, you know, PTSD, we all know that is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? It happens from one or more single one-time traumatic events. CPTSD is when you are constantly living in it, when you are constantly living in that fear, and you are just nerves and just, you know, this is where fibro stems from. All of your nerve problems, all of your physical ailments that are horrible because of your own thing, you can get rid of them. I'm telling you, it's all up in here right now, my friend, and it's gonna blow your popsicle stand right out of the water. I'm gonna play the honest card really quick before we wrap this up. CPTSD and PTSD most likely need help with behavioral health. You will not be able to get through it yourself. I thought I could, and I turned to suicide tendencies, right? You know, I just graduated from my 2-year therapy program of intense healing, and I loved it. I devoted myself to it, and look at me now. I am this beautiful pile of dirt garden, and nothing is gonna stop me from putting these flowers in here for the rest of my damn life. You know, when my mom picked me up at that church, I ended up puking it all over the bathroom stall there before we left, because I was just so nervous, so distraught. And if you're watching this video because you cleaned up my puke, thank you. I really appreciate that. So, fast forwarding now, you know, I'm sure that's the moment my ego was just tallying more, and that was when I finally just created this vomiting phobia for myself for my whole entire life, because I was physically purging that fear inside me. That's how sick. I've been making myself so sick since I was a kid because of the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, and mental abuse. And I still continued it all the way through. You know? I know my mom has a light in her, and I know my stepdad did too. And that's where that unconditional love is. A lot of people don't want to give their abusers a chance, but I'm full of unconditional love, and I see her light, and I see yours. So, you are enough. I finally realized I had enough, and I am enough. You are enough. I love you. Have a wonderful weekend. Feel free to send me any messages. I have had requests on a way to send in anonymous questions, which is totally valid and fair, so I will find a way to do that for you, okay? Love you. Take care. Wounds into light.